Some of y'all may know me. Of course, this half of the building does know me. Talked to Coach Roth earlier, and he said, "Man, you wrestlers, y'all travel in packs. Y'all are thick as thieves, aren't y'all?" I can do all things through Jesus Christ who strengthens me.
Amen.
I consistently repeated this Bible verse throughout my wrestling career. It reminded me that I was never alone during training and competition, inspired me to overcome my nerves before my matches. Wrestling may have been an individual sport, but it was my faith, my support, guidance, and commitment of those around me that contributed to my success. I was a freshman when Mike Miranda introduced our family to the sport of wrestling by convincing my older brother Preston that the sport was all-inclusive, no matter your size, height, or previous athletic accomplishments. I had grown up playing traditional sports, but I wasn't good at any of those. I was a kid that was more interested in just picking clovers in the outfield than catching fly balls. But wrestling was different for me, eventually. No other sport, activity, or club can prepare you for the mental and physical demand of wrestling. The men responsible for preparing me for this journey were our coaches, Mike Matlock and Jerry Crump. Coach Matlock was extremely passionate about the sport of wrestling. He believed everyone had potential and gave us every opportunity to get better, even to the point of packing 7 guys into a Honda Civic and driving all up to Chicago to compete in the World Team Trials, which I had to ride 12, 14 hours it was on someone's lap. It was pretty brutal. My teammates and I reminisce, we still kind of try and figure out how old he was back then. I don't know, he could have been 35 or 65. But that didn't stop him from getting out on the mat. He wore this blue singlet with his blue jogging, 1980s jogging suit underneath it. And he would just get out there and wrestle with us. He'd pull out his mouthpiece, stuff it into his sock, and yell at somebody to close the door. It's getting too cold. During tournaments, you could hear him just yelling across the gym, urging us, "Shoot! You shoot again, shoot!" Now, Coach Jerry, he had a different way about him. He surpassed Matlock in intensity, but carried the same passion for my success. He was my mentor, my coach, and he's now my friend. He helped instill the same core qualities in me that my parents had: discipline, work ethic, confidence, and how to be a man. He taught us more than wrestling in that small junior high locker room that we practiced in. He taught us right from wrong, how to set goals and to compete, and how to go out in life and get what we wanted. Jim Ravanack, the king, who facilitated my success in high school without my knowledge. Back then, our family struggled financially, but somehow there were always funds available to send me to camps and tournaments all across the country. In every wrestling room across the country, you'll find alumni returning to their alma maters to get on the mat and teach the next generation. Now, you'll talk about wanting to put the pads back on, but wrestling is kind of weird in that way that we still wrestle. Not as well or as fast, and it hurts a lot more. I had Chris Crump, Keith Fabre, and Rob Heidingsfelder. I couldn't have asked for better men at this time in my life. I remember Chris working day after day with me to perfect my stand-up, and being the calm, reassuring voice after my infamous Brother Martin tournament meltdown my senior year. I lost 3 times as a defending state champion in one tournament. My parents, I'm sorry. Was the track where I am? Oh, no, I was right. My parents were willing to let me jump in a car and ride to Curitan's to go work out with Rob Heidingsfelder. He looks a little clean cut now, but back then he was the lead singer of a heavy metal band, a shaved head full of tattoos, and all he had was this little ponytail in the back of his head. Sometimes I question my parents. But they were able to look past his appearance and see the man that he was inside and what he wanted to get out of us. And Keith, the legend, the state champion, me and all of my teammates had looked up to him and wanted to emulate him. Can't go without talking about our teammates. And they were more than teammates. Some of my deepest friendships were forged in those years. There's no way to describe to outsiders what an intense wrestling room is like. In this practice room, we drilled technique repeatedly day after day until we could do it in our sleep. At any time during practice, our level of effort wasn't up to our coach's expectations, or someone disrupting practice with Ace Ventura impersonations, which occurred many, many times each day, would make us hit the mat, push-ups, sit-ups, mountain climbers, frogs, burpees, sprints. Live wrestling was the most intense part of practice. We put aside our friendships and battle each other, our coaches, and our own self-doubt. There were bloody and broken noses, black eyes, sprains, strains, tears of every muscle and tendon, chipped teeth, ears deformed with continuous impacts. Tempers flared, pride was damaged, bodies were hurt, but we became mentally tough and drew closer to one another from the mutual respect gained through the rigor of our training. My favorite quote is, "After wrestling, everything in life is easy." My first year, we looked up to upperclassmen, Dave Sagers, who would maul me every day, Joshua Ward, Craig Bourrier, always the far end of the wrestling mat, the heavy weights, make sure they didn't crush us lighter weights. Brian Sagers, Brian Shea, Greg Brennan, who seemed to wrestle with a broken hand, a sprained ankle, strained knee, who knows? He didn't drink milk or something, I don't know. He was always hurt. John Paul Pierre, our captain, our leader, who taught me how to be passionate about the sport. And he always had some kind of weird saying that made our notebook of famous JK quotes. Welcome to the jungle. Randy and Ryan Estes, Robert Poche, Jeremy Whittemore, Stephen Hecker, who introduced me to the music of Jonathan Davis and Phil Anselmo, for which I'm eternally grateful. Ryan Foster, Jeremy Atkinson, Tusa, and Ben Brouillet, the underclassmen that were always there to push us when we were getting tired. Keith Tomlinson, our big man, who could probably outrun any ultramarathon runner. Ro Landry, who showed me not to fear anyone on the mat, and that even state champions from Brother Martin can be taken down. But quickly get pinned after. Todd Gilreath, a lifelong friend whose family treated me as one of their own, was always there to bring me home after long practices. Chad Boudreaux, Rummel's first wrestler inducted to the Hall of Fame, 3-time state champion, All-American, and my wrestling partner in high school and college. He was one of the most determined, confident, brutally aggressive wrestlers I've ever met. I cried during every single practice my freshman year wrestling. I was just too stupid to quit. I'm still not sure if I'm supposed to be thanking him or cursing him for all the years we wrestled together. After winning my second state title, one of the referees asked me if I had cut Boudreaux's lawn for making me a state champion. I'm eternally indebted to him, but I'm still not going to cut your lawn. I'm thankful to my other wrestling partners over the years, Todd McConnell, Matt Catswaw, Scott Hecker, and Scott Welty, who became my main wrestling partner my senior year and was instrumental in my success that year. Wrestling took its toll on all of us, including my family, which sacrificed greatly in my pursuit. My sisters Michelle and Nicole gave up more Friday nights and Saturdays sitting in stands, waiting eagerly for one of the Raiders to wrestle. I had to sit in that Jesuit gym day after day, week after week. So terrible. They didn't miss anything, and they put aside their own social lives for years. For every tournament win, the state titles I have, the wrestling accolades, and this honor I'm receiving today, there should be an asterisk beside it, with a note stating, made possible by the tireless dedication of Preston Ritchie. My brother Preston was a fierce competitor. Everything I did, he was there by my side, from practices, evening workouts, to the days of fasting, cutting weight, running in sauna suits, sweating to make weight. He stayed up nights during the season when I was cutting weight to make sure that I didn't wake up and sleepwalk and accidentally walk into the kitchen and eat some food. I looked up to him and wanted him to be proud of the wrestler I had become. My parents were there for it all. We were a wrestling family. My dad was always there to support me and felt every win and loss with me. As a father of 2 wrestlers now, I understand the agony and helplessness felt sitting on the side watching your kids compete. Dad was always there in positive reinforcement. He recorded an inspiring motivational speech on a cassette tape that I would listen to every match my senior year. I love you, Dad. Thank you for everything. Unfortunately, my biggest fan is not here today. My mom passed away several years ago, and these are the days I miss her most. I was never naturally strong or fast, still not strong or fast. But I was successful in wrestling because of hard work, heart, and grit, which I inherited from my mom. She suffered from lupus and lived most of her adult life in constant pain. But she never complained. She worked harder than anyone else I had ever met. And my training regimen was molded by her example. Every morning before everyone else would wake up, she'd come in my room, she'd wake me up, with a rise and shine for my early morning workouts. I'd get up, she'd sit quietly, drink her coffee, I'd pack on my sweat sauna suits and ride the Nordic track, if y'all remember what those are, for about an hour. She loved watching the Raiders compete. You could always hear her yelling, "Watch the arm," whenever someone we knew was wrestling, which was ironic because I did break my arm my sophomore year. Mom, I love you and I miss you. My wife Jessica and my boys Liam and Jameson hear stories of our time as wrestlers at every barbecue, crawfish boil, and birthday party. Now that my boys have begun wrestling, they are now carrying on the tradition of the family sport. My hope is that they get out of this sport what I got out of it. I owe a debt to the sport and all those that were part of it with me. A debt that has no monetary value, and that only way to repay that debt is for me to pass it on to the next generation, that they can get what I get out of it. I want to thank Coach Roth, Mr. Milano, Mr. Francione, and the rest of the Rummel community. I'm pleased, honored, humbled to accept this recognition. My fellow Raiders, joining you all in the Rummel Athletic Hall of Fame. Thank you.